Laudetur Jesus Christus, praised be Jesus Christ. Welcome to this live broadcast. We're coming to you as we do every Sunday from St. Peter's Square. We're waiting for our Holy Father to come to this window we now see on the screen. He'll be providing us with a brief reflection for the 19th Sunday in Ordinary Time, and we'll pray the noonday Angelus with him today. From wherever you're joining us, I'd like to welcome you to this live broadcast. We know some of you tuning in through our very own Vatican Media channels, through our Vatican News app or Vatican Radio app, the Vatican News English web portal, YouTube channel, or our Facebook live feed. And we have some of you tuning in through television. A warm welcome to any of you tuning in through Catholic TV, Catholic Faith Network, Shalom World Television Networks USA, Salt and Light Media, EWTN, Shalom TV India, at Madarshan TV India, and Uganda Catholic Television. And to all of our radio listeners out there, especially those of you tuning in through Radio Maria in England and Luminous Radio, and all of you who may be picking up our shortwave radio signal or are picking us up through other local or diocesan stations, and those of you who might be finding us on other digital platforms. Welcome also to all of you, and a most warm welcome. We have also some joining us through our dedicated American Sign Language broadcast. This is brought to all of you through our friends at Deaf Catholic Youth Initiative for the Americas, and we thank them for assisting us in bringing the Holy Father's message to you. My name is Sister Bernadette, and I'll be providing the English texts and translations for you. The Holy Father should be appearing in just seconds. And we did hear from him on Wednesday. He talked about his trip to Portugal for World Youth Day. He came back last Sunday. And there may still be pilgrims here in the crowd coming from World Youth Day. We see, it looks like El Salvador. Yes, the flag from El Salvador. So we have some Salvadorans here in the crowd. Our Holy Father is still taking it easy over the summer, and the curtains have now drawn back, and we now see him gradually appearing in the window.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buongiorno. Oggi il Vangelo.
Our Holy Father greeting the crowd, dear brothers and sisters, buongiorno. Today's Gospel narrates a particular prodigious deed of Jesus. He walks at night on the waters of the Lake of Galilee toward his disciples who are crossing the lake in a boat. The question, why did Jesus do this? Was it a show? Maybe because of an urgent, unforeseeable need to aid his disciples who were blocked by a headwind? No, because it was he himself who had planned everything. He had made them depart that evening. The text even says he made them go. Maybe he did it to give them a demonstration of his greatness and power, but that's not like Jesus. So why did he do it? Why did he want to walk on the waters? There's a message behind the walking on the water which we do not grasp immediately. In fact, at that time, great expanses of water were held to be the haunts of evil powers that man was not able to master. evil powers. Particularly when storms made them turbulent, these abysses were symbols of chaos and recalled the darkness of the underworld. Now, the disciples found themselves in the middle of the lake when it was dark. They were afraid of sinking, of being sucked in by evil. And here Jesus comes walking on the waters. That is over the powers of evil. He walks over the powers of evil, and he says to his disciples, "Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid." This is the entire message that Jesus gives us. This is the meaning of the sign. The powers of evil that frighten us, that we cannot master, take on smaller proportions with Jesus. By walking on the waters, he wants to say, "Do not be afraid. I have put your enemies under my feet." It's a beautiful message. Do not be afraid. I have put your enemies under my feet, not people, not that type of enemy, but death, sin, the devil. These are the enemies that people have, our enemies. And Jesus tramples on these enemies for us. Today, Christ repeats to each of us, "Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid. Take heart, because I am here. Because you are no longer alone on the turbulent waters of life." And so, what should we do when we find ourselves on the open sea at the mercy of headwinds? What should we do when we are afraid on the open sea, when we see only darkness and we feel we are going under? We need to do two things that Jesus shows us in the gospel and that the disciples do. What do the disciples do? They call on and welcome Jesus. In the hardest moment of life, they call on and welcome Jesus in the darkest hour of life. The disciples call on Jesus. Peter walks a little on the waters toward Jesus, but then he gets frightened. He sinks and then cries out, "Lord, save me." He calls on Jesus. This prayer is beautiful. It expresses the certainty that the Lord can save us, that he conquers our evil and our fears. I invite you to repeat this all together. Lord, save me. Together 3 times. Lord, save me. Lord, save me. Lord, save me. And then the disciples welcome. First they call on, and then they welcome Jesus into the boat. The text says that as soon as he got into the boat, the wind ceased. The Lord knows that the boat of our life, as well as the boat of the church, is threatened by headwinds, and that the sea on which we sail is often turbulent. He knows this. He does not spare us the hard work of sailing. Rather, the gospel highlights he pushes his disciples to depart. He invites us to face difficulties so that they too might become salvific places. Because Jesus conquers them, they become opportunities to meet Jesus. In fact, in our moments of darkness, he comes to meet us, asking to be welcomed, like that night on the lake. So let us ask ourselves, in our fears and our difficulties, how do I react? Do I go ahead alone with my own strength, or do I call on the Lord with trust? And what is my faith like? Do I believe that Christ is stronger than the adversarial waves and winds? But above all, am I sailing with Jesus? Do I welcome him? Do I make room for him in the boat of my life? Never alone, but always with Jesus. Do I hand the helm over to Jesus? In the dark crossings, may Mary, Star of the Sea, help us to seek the light of Jesus.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tui mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus.
Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostre. Amen.
Ecce ancilla Domini.
Fiat mi secundum verbum tuum.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tui mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus.
Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostre. Amen.
Et verbum caro factam est.
Et habitavit in nobis.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tui mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus.
Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostre. Amen.
Ora pro nobis, Santa Dei Genitrix.
Ut digni efficiamur promissionibus Christi.
Gratiam Tua, anque sumus Domine, mentibus nostris infunde, che Angelo Nunziante, Christi Fili Tui, incarnazione coniovimus, per passionem eius et crucem, a resurrectionis gloriam perducamur. Per Christum Dominum nostrum.
Amen.
Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto.
Sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper et in saecula saeculorum. Amen.
Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto.
Sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper et in saecula saeculorum. Amen.
Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto.
Sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper et in saecula saeculorum. Amen.
Pro fidelibus defuntis, requiem aeternam dona eis Domine.
Et lux perpetua luce a Teis.
Requiescant in pace.
Amen.
Sit nomen Domini benedictum.
Ex hoc nunc et usque in saeculum,
Aiuterium nostrum in nomine Domini.
qui fecit caelum et terram.
Benedicat vos, omnipotens Deus, Pater et Filius et Spiritus Sanctus.
Amen.
Amen.
Crowd responding now to our Holy Father's words and blessing, dear brothers and sisters. Another tragic shipwreck has happened a few days ago in the Mediterranean. 41 people lost their lives. I've prayed for them. And with sorrow and shame, we need to say that from the beginning of the year, almost 2,000 men, women, and children have died in this sea, seeking to get to Europe. It's an open wound on our humanity. I encourage the political authorities and diplomatic powers to seek to heal this in a spirit of solidarity and fraternity, as well as a commitment to all those who work to help those who have been shipwrecked. Tomorrow is the vigil of Our Lady Assumed into Heaven, and in Bafoussam in Cameroon there will be a pilgrimage to ask for peace in that country, still afflicted by violence and war. Let us unite ourselves in prayer to our brothers and sisters of Cameroon, so that through the intercession of Our Lady, God might help the hopes of the people who have been suffering for years and open the path of dialogue to reach a peace accord. And let us also pray for the battered people of Ukraine who are suffering a lot during this war. I also desire to assure my prayers for the victims of the fire that has devastated the island of Maui in Hawaii. I extend my greeting to all of you, people from Rome and pilgrims from various countries. I greet in particular a few groups who've participated in the World Youth Day in Lisbon. There are many of you, huh? I see the flags: Poland, Mexico, Argentina, Italy. I see many. That's Salvador. The priests and young people, those from El Salvador, are really loud. The students of the University from a university in Pueblo,
dei
Mexico,
giovani di
and the young
Taiwan,
people from
buon
Taiwan.
cammino. E a tutti auguro una
And
buona domenica.
I wish all of you a blessed Sunday, and please do not forget to pray for me.
Buon pranzo e
Enjoy your meal,
arrivederci.
and arrivederci. We'll see each other again. And our Holy Father ending his words, reminding us of the tragedy still going on in the Mediterranean Sea. 1,700 have been helped in the past 48 hours, just to put a number to that. And now we bring this live broadcast of the recitation of the Noonday Angelus here in St. Peter's Square to a close. I invite you to visit the Vatican News web portal, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube accounts for coverage of today's Angelus and other Vatican and world news. We'll be back on Tuesday. Our Holy Father will once again lead the Angelus for the Feast of the Assumption. There will be no audience on Wednesday because these next three days are holidays here in Italy. On behalf of Vatican Media, I'd like to thank our in-studio audio technician, Adriano Vitali, and Jean-Charles Puzzolu, our audio coordinator, and all of our media partners who've brought this broadcast to you: Catholic Faith Network, Shalom World Television Network, Salt and Light Media, Shalom TV at Medarshan TV, Uganda Catholic Television, Radio Maria, and Luminous Radio, and our friends at DYCIA who've made this broadcast possible. A blessed Sunday to all of you. Laudetur Jesus Christus. Praised be Jesus Christ.